Again, it's football. It's Thursday night. We got to bet it.
If you're going to dangle a 3 and a hook on my squad, Texas Tech, you know I'm taking it, baby. Yeah, if I'm betting this game, it's because I'm betting a number, not the team.
Welcome into the Denver Sports Betting Show. I am your host, Anthony Gabriel. This segment of the show is brought to you by Red Rock Spirits, our great sponsors. You know you're going to be watching football this weekend. We know we're going to have a cold beverage. Go to see these guys. Get them at your local liquor store, whether it's vodka, whether it's whiskey. Go see Red Rocks. It's the best out there. Fellas, no Gilly this week. He's still... I think he's still under the weather from how that game ended Sunday. So we could spend probably the whole show on this, but... Quick thoughts, Garrett. What did you think when you saw the penalty called?
I just can't make that call in that situation. They make 4 or 5 of those a year in the NFL, and they inserted themselves to decide that game. Whether it's a penalty or not, that's just one it's at their discretion. I hate to see it called right there.
Yeah, well, really had no effect.
Who did you bet on?
I am biased. I did have the Broncos.
Okay.
I mean, I think it was a penalty, and I think you can't say you can't call that, but if it is a penalty, you do have to call it. But it had really no effect on the kick, so it kind of sucks to see them lose that way. But
I agree. As an unbiased person here, here's my take on it. What happens if he does it and blocks the kick? Right? Mm-hmm. It's not if it's the rule. If it's the rule, you can't push on your back and block the kick. But I hate to see a game decided that way. I think all the fans do when it's irrelevant part of the game. Let it play out. But Colts got the W. Move on. But hey, best offense in the NFL right now. We'll move on. So let's get to it. Thursday night football. We've got a banger of the Bills and the Dolphins here. Right now, we're seeing Buffalo 12.5 spread. Guys, again, Thursday. First of all, let me ask you this. So we had the two back-to-back, had the doubleheader on Monday night. Mm-hmm. I would say I would take that every week over the Thursday night football game because it's always a garbage game.
Yeah.
The Thursday games always seem to underwhelm.
Right?
Teams have this conservative game plan. They're coming in on short rest. They just kind of take it easy, cruise, no overs hit ever. It's just
such a short turnaround. You can't play a game Sunday, travel, get to where you're going, and have a game plan implemented. So we'll save that one for another day. But let's get to this one. Buffalo, Miami. Dylan, let's start with you. Thoughts on this game?
I'm going to be taking the Dolphins plus 12.5 here. I think Tua kind of got it together last game, especially in the second half, went 26 for 32. And to me, the Dolphins got to have their back against the walls here. If you lose this game, you're going to go 0-3. I think they're going to put in a lot more effort, really try and win this game. I think Buffalo, it's also it's the Dolphins. They've sucked the first 2 weeks, maybe come in this game a little overconfident. I could see the Dolphins being down maybe even 17 with a few minutes left and the Dolphins scoring a touchdown, losing by 10. So I really worry about the back door here. So 12.5, I'll take the Dolphins there.
Garrett?
Yeah, I'm not usually a guy that gets involved in double-digit spreads as far as the side in NFL games. Dog or pass for me, probably. Today we found out Matt Milano and Ed Oliver will be out for Buffalo. That's literally their 2 best defensive players. So maybe that helps Miami's ability to move the ball down the field here in this one. So far...
you really got to be brave to back the Dolphins
based on
now.
what you've seen so far. So far right now, Miami is dead last in defensive success rate. And guess who's number 1 in offensive success rate? That's Buffalo Bills on their side of the ball. So I could probably be talked into an over here. Now, I don't like betting overs on short week Thursday night games. Generally, like I said, it's more conservative. These guys are beat up. They're coming into the game early in the season. Maybe I could be talked into it a little bit easier. It's over or pass for me, or dog or pass for me. Other than that, I did play Josh Allen. He under rushing yards on the opener is at 32.5. I think it's down to 29. I'd probably still look that direction. He has a broken nose. Like I said, short week. I don't think they're going to call too many designed runs for Josh Allen in this short week as 12-point favorites with a guy with a broken nose. Look, I played football. I broke my nose the same way he did. That helmet comes down and it breaks your nose. I can tell you one thing. The last thing you want to do with a broken nose in a helmet is fight for extra yards. Right. So I don't think they're going to call any design runs for him, and I think he's going to be extra quick to slide and not fight for the extra yards in this one. So I'd like his rushing yards under in this one.
Good angle. I like that as well. If this was on a Sunday, I think I'd be all over Miami. But on the short, as we talked about, on the short
On the
week, the
road.
quick turnaround, I'm a little hesitant, but it is football. It is the standalone island game.
Gotta bet it.
You said pick a side. I would wait until closer to game time and see if you can get a 14, because I think this line's only
I
going
would
one
take
way,
that.
because who in their right mind is going to bet the Dolphins? Me and Dylan. But
Sickos.
yeah, I think when you look at these two teams, divisional rivals, Miami should have beat Buffalo last year.
Yeah.
Bass won it on a 61-yard field goal. So I think this is either goes one way, where it is a competitive game, or this is the week we find out Miami is completely quit
And McDaniel gets fired.
and McDaniel's staying there working at CD's Wings Buffalo. So if I had to take it for some interest, again, I'd wait until see if I can get a 14 and get some Miami there. But again, it's football. It's Thursday night. We got to bet it. So let's move on to a better game, the big one on Sunday. Chargers and the Broncos. Right now, we're seeing some 2.5, seeing some 3s out there. Still with Denver. Total's about 45.5. I think this is going to be a really, really good game. Denver coming off the loss against Indy. Chargers on to 2-0. Garrett, let me start with you on this one. Thoughts on Chargers Broncos?
Yeah, if I'm betting this game, it's because I'm betting a number, not the team. I've been really impressed with the Chargers so far, especially their offense. If you're looking at the market, at a soft 2.5, I'm not really interested. If a 3 pops for Denver, I'm certainly taking that with Denver. If it settles at a flat 2.5, I would probably look to play Denver in teasers. But I've been really impressed with this Chargers team. Actually, I bet Herbert to win the MVP at 15-1 last week. I re-upped on that yesterday at 10-1, I think. So I'm really impressed with what I've seen out of this Chargers offense. He's running a lot more, but for me, I think Denver probably bounces back here. If I get a 3, I'm taking it with Denver.
We've got the co-chairs of the Justin Herbert fan club here, by the way. So
Yeah.
what are you thinking?
I'm taking Chargers -2.5. Look, Herbert's thriving under Harbaugh. No turnovers, no turnover-worthy plays even. Top rankings in air yard success rate, improving his average depth of target. I'm backing the better quarterback here, especially under a key number like 3 at 2.5. Like if it goes up to 3, I probably stay away, but 2.5, I have to take the Chargers here. They've handled quality opponents. They've beat the Chiefs. They shut out the Raiders. This defense, again, last year was has scored the most points. This defense is really good this year too, and an improved offense here. I really like Chargers -2.5. I think this team can win the Super Bowl. I think Justin Herbert can win MVP. Really high on this team this year.
Co-chairs there. I'm going to go the other way. I got to get the Broncos fans back in my good graces here. I did grab a juiced 3. I do think these teams are fairly even. I'm not basing much after just 2 games, and there's no real home field advantage for the Chargers. It's going to be just as many Broncos fans there as LA fans. So I think right now to power rate this, maybe give the Chargers a slight edge. So getting that 2.5, 2 is a key number. We see it come down to it more now in NFL games with missed extra points, guys going for 2 more often. So I would take the Broncos still at 2.5, but look for the 3s. Tease it up as well, because I do think I'm not taking much away from. The Chargers have looked good, but that Chiefs win, how good really was that now? As you look at the Chiefs, are so inept on offense. And then the Raiders and Geno were just miserable on Monday night if you stayed up for it. So I do think there's value for the Broncos. I'm going to take the Broncos here. +2.5. For this game, by the way, make sure Sunday come out, check us all out. We'll be at Tom's Watch Bar. You know where it's at, right across from Coors Field, doing a watch party. We're going to keep pumping up, promoting it. Come out, watch the game. We'll do some fun contests, have some giveaways. So come see us at Tom's this Sunday. It's going to be a blast, guys. I think it's going to be, so watching Sunday there. I cannot wait. So that's the place to be for that game. Any other thoughts on that game before we move on? Any other player props?
Quick note on a couple player props, just to keep an eye on. Nothing I've played in this game in particular, but teams playing against Denver, their running back receiving yards have gone over by a mile so far this season, and Denver is bottom 5 in running back receiving yards and receptions allowed last season. So it's clear that teams want to attack Denver through the air with their running back. So keep an eye on that one. Another thing is Justin Herbert, he's been way more willing to run this year as opposed to last year. In his first 2 games, he already has 8 and 9 rushing attempts. Last year, he averaged 3.9. It's clear if you're watching these games, he is looking to run a lot more this season. So another thing to keep your eye on.
Okay. Moving on, we get to Sunday Night Football. A couple of 0-2 teams, Chiefs and the Giants. Right now, we're seeing Kansas City about 5.5-point favorite. Total hovering around 45 here as well. Guys, I don't know if we're, again, we talk about overreactions week 1, but now we're starting to get a few more data points on the Chiefs, and they just don't have any of their weapons. I mean, the defense is still playing okay, but so you've got them coming off the loss, and then the Giants and Cowboys just, Russ found the youth there and looked like his old self again, and then he looked like his old self throwing the pick that cost him the game. So, Dylan, start with you here on this game. Where are you leaning?
I'm going to take the under 45.5. Like you said, this Kansas City offense really can't get anything going. This Giants front seven is also good. Probably going to be able to force some pressure on them. And Spagnuolo on the other side with the man-heavy blitz game. Russ isn't going to be able to do what he did last week. It's going to be a lot more shorter throws. I think this is going to be kind of a slow, grinded-out game. Wouldn't pick a side, but I'm on the under here at 45.5.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that under there. That makes a lot of sense. I would say this. If you are a Chiefs believer, well, happy for you the last few years.
And you're not living in Kansas City.
Yeah, happy for you the last few years or whatever. But now is probably the time to buy low on them if you are so inclined. Mahomes MVP is at a really fat price right now. Them to win the division is the highest price it's been in at least a decade. So if now might be the time, they still have a tough couple of games here after this one, but maybe now's the time to get involved. I didn't personally. In this game in particular, I played Kansas City on a teaser. It's hard to see them going 0-3. I definitely think they get the win here. I'm not running to the counter to say they win by more than a touchdown in this one. So I like them in teasers. I like them to win outright. The strength of Kansas City's defense is their run defense. Giants don't have a run game on their offensive side anyway. So the spread, in my opinion, comes down to how many of those deep shots that Russell Wilson's going to hit on, and I'm not willing to bet on that. Not really interested in this game. Kind of a bummer Sunday night game. But Kansas City in a teaser leg is kind of the only angle I have here.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be an angle that a lot of people go with is, hey, Kansas City's not going 0-3, especially against the Giants. I can get them at a pick 'em. But on the other side of the coin, we saw the Giants team that went up and down the field on the Cowboys defense, but they faced a different animal with the Chiefs. So nothing really here for me. I do think if this is the get right spot, it's going to be, but that front seven for the Giants is really, really good. I kind of like Dylan's angle of going under because I do think this is going to be where the Chiefs are going to, they're not the high explosive offense that we used to see anymore. It's a lot of their average points per game. I think last season was like 21 points.
Yeah.
Way below what we're used to seeing out of the Chiefs. So I think low scoring. I think under is the way to go.
Yeah.
On the game, especially we saw the kind of the trend come back over the weekend of some of the low scoring island primetime games after what happened week 1 with all the offensive explosion. Then we had all the games during the day went over, but all the night games were kind of snoozers. So one more game to go. Before we do, here's a word. Garrett's going to tell you all about Outlier, our new sponsor, and how you can get an edge on this game.
We got Monday Night Football, and it's time for our Outlier Insights of the Week presented by Outlier.bet. We'll kick things off with the Ravens, who have been dominant at home. Baltimore has won 8 of their last 9 games in their own building, so maybe backing Baltimore is the way to go here. This matchup has the highest total of the week, and for good reason. The over is cashed in 6 of the Ravens' last 8 home games, hitting at a 75% clip. With Detroit's high-powered offense coming into town, we could see some more fireworks in Baltimore on Monday night. And speaking of that Lions' potent offense, don't forget about running back Jahmyr Gibbs. Outlier shows that he's scored a touchdown in 7 of his last 8 games. So we like his chances to find pay dirt yet again in this potential shootout. There you have it. Your Outlier Insights of the Week, powered by our friends over at Outlier.bet. Check out Outlier to start making smarter bets today.
And we're back. We're going to talk about Monday Night Football. We got a banger here. Now, we're rewarded with Ravens and Lions. We used our friends at Outlier to kind of find an edge on this game. So, Dylan, start with you. Baltimore, 5.5 points favorites. Are the Lions back, really, or is that just playing the Bears?
I'm not willing to bet 5.5 either way here, but I'm going to take Lamar's over 227.5 passing yards, even with the slow start rushing. And Todd Monken's system, he's a great passer. He's had 8 passing plays of 20-plus yards and 6 touchdowns already. Detroit runs a blitz-heavy man coverage scheme. Lamar is the best quarterback in the league against the blitz. He also excels against man coverage. Lions have already also given up 7 passing plays of 20-plus yards. I expect Jackson to keep piling up the air yards here. I think this game's going to be high scoring. I even like the over if you're going to take a side or a total. So Lamar Jackson over 227.5 passing yards.
Yeah, I love that. I love a lot of overs in this game. It's going to be a fun one, man. I know you mentioned the prime time. Usually we see these teams get bogged down by the bright lights or whatever it may be. But I think this game has a chance to get squirrely. A lot of points scored here. We saw what Buffalo and Baltimore did a couple weeks ago. So it just comes down to who's the real Detroit? Like, the real Slim Shady, please stand up, Detroit, right? Like, I don't know if what we saw in week 1 was more of the Packers just being this juggernaut, which I do think they are. Like, I do think at this point in time, Packers have the number 1 defense in the NFL. So I don't know how much of that was the Lions maybe not being as good. They had a switch of offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, so maybe they just had a slow start to the season. But either way, I do think we see some points here. I think this one gets squirrely, but I would lean to the Ravens if I had to pick a side. This is one where I'm going to be looking to get in live because I think we're going to see a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, I like the call live. Maybe you said maybe a teaser here with your other teaser leg, teasing Ravens down, teasing Chiefs down to a pick. I got to think it's a public kind of tease, but again, I think, I don't like teasing, especially when it's a high-scoring game and points at a premium. I don't necessarily like going that angle, but I do think Baltimore is still, the class of the league here as well, too. But that's a big number to lay for a team with the firepower the Lions have. Always. We saw it in Buffalo. Like, that back door is going to be open. And even if they're up double digits, they can still come down and score at will. But we are getting golf outdoors, which is different than indoor golf.
Very true.
As well, too. So for me there, again, I'm still kind of, all these, if you're betting on the NFL, we're insane people. We'll give you all the facts we can get. And we know what we're talking about, and we still know what's going to happen. So it's going to be a fun one. Before we take a quick break, let's go around the horn. Best bets in the NFL. Garrett, what's your best bet of the Sunday?
So my favorite bet of this week, it was the Cowboys-Bears over 48. Make sure you join our Denver Sports Bettors group chat on Instagram. I gave that out a couple days ago. That number's already up to 51, so I don't like that as much. So as far as widely available numbers, my best bet on the board right now is the Commanders-Raiders under 44.5. Raiders games have gone under 7 of their last 8. They've got a sneaky good run defense. PFF graded them as a top 3 run defenses in week 1 and 2. So obviously the elephant in the room in this game is Jaden Daniels' injury. If he goes, this number might tick up, and I'm fine living with that. I still think it's going to be a lower scoring game. But if he's ruled out, I think it's going to drop below that key of 44.5, and I think we're going to be sitting on some good closing line value. So that's my favorite bet, under 44.5 in Raiders Commanders.
Love it.
I'm going to be taking Saints under 16.5 total points. Worst team in the league. They continue to underperform as underdogs. I know it's right there on the hook with 17, but they're playing Seattle at home. The Seattle defense has not been bad. I really don't think they're going to be able to get anything going, so I don't mind taking under 16.5 here. I would be surprised if they even scored 10 points. So
I like the angle there rather than putting your faith in Darnold to maybe get a cover. Let's just bet against the Saints.
Bet on that defense,
right? So my best bet, it's an ugly one, and it's going to be the Browns plus 8.5, and I might be the only one on the Browns, but Packers have never been any higher than what they are right now, and for good reason. But again, how good really, the blowout of the Bears, how really good are the Bears? Again, the defense looks tough, impressive, coming off some extra rest. But the Browns defense is kind of going under the radar, being one of the best defenses in the league. I mean, they outgained the Ravens by 150 yards last week. If you watch that game, it's just Flacco. Do not give this game to them because, there was a block punt. They were all on short fields, all their scores. But the Ravens, they never really had any sustained drives. No. There was a lot of punts. So it's going to be a hold your nose, have some Red Rock spirits with you, and take the Browns plus 8.5. And they'll throw in a little bonus, little Tony's teaser. We hit it last week. Let's tease the Broncos up to 8.5, and I'm also going to tease the Texans up to 7.5. That's another one that I feel getting those teams through the key numbers of 3 and 7. I think the Texans are going to win the game, but I'll take a little insurance with that defense for both those teams to keep it under a touchdown with the good defenses and low-scoring games. So we'll be right back. There's our NFL Around the Horn. We'll be right back, talk some college football right after this. And welcome back into the Denver Sports Betting Show. This portion of the show is brought to you by our friends over at CD's Wings. Listen, guys, I know I love wings. Y'all love wings. When we're sitting football, nothing goes better with wings, and these guys have the best wings in Denver. So make sure you get your orders in early for games Saturday, Sunday. The balsamic dry rub, the best is their flavor of the month. Make sure you go see our friends at CD's Wings. Get some wings, get some winners. Let's go. College football time. We had a hell of a weekend on Saturday, 14 hours straight from 10 a.m. to midnight. I was glued to it, and my Irish did not. I don't even want to revisit. I know Dylan was it looked like we were going to lose on an extra point. Garrett is the only one that got it right with having the go over in the first half. But that Notre Dame defense really worries me. Let me go around the horn here since this is going to be the Notre Dame talk portion of the show. 10-2 Notre Dame. Do you think they get in?
Well, 10-2 is kind of quite the assumption too. I could see a couple more losses on their schedule. Do they get in? Oh, yeah. How much do how much does the committee weigh the non-conference thing?
Right. I mean, they could have done the Penn State schedule and played Villanova and played
True.
Whoever else they played. I don't think they go 2-2 with the way that defense looks unless they get it corrected.
Yeah.
But I think if they do get the 10-2, they're in because, I mean, look at Miami. They could be number one in the country by the end of the year.
Yep.
Texas A&M's a top 10 team. All right, I won't talk your ear off about Notre Dame the whole time. So let's get to some of the games. Let's start off. We got some good ones here. Let's start. We've got Texas Tech and Utah. Good game in the Big 12. Early game, 10 o'clock local time start in Salt Lake. Maybe a little sleepy coming out of the gate. Garrett, thoughts on this game?
So this one's kind of hard to gauge. Texas Tech hasn't really played anyone, but they look great. Utah really hasn't played anyone yet, but this is going to be a big data point for both these teams.
Right.
But if you're going to dangle a 3 and a hook on my squad, Texas Tech, you know I'm taking it, baby. Come on, are you kidding me? Okay, the Salt Lake, whatever, the elevation, the Utah, the home field advantage.
Elevation talk again?
That gets way blown out of proportion. You're getting major value here on Texas Tech. They spent the most money. They're way more talented than this Utah team. I think the winner of this game probably has a one-way ticket to the Big 12 championship game, in my opinion. And I think Texas Tech's live on the money line, obviously, and I think 3 and a hook is just a gift. So I'm all over Texas Tech here.
Well, something to say about that. Dylan, what are your thoughts?
I'm with Garrett here. I'm also on Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech wins by a touchdown. I'm willing to take them outright on the money line. They're averaging 58 points per game. Baron Morton has an explosive arm. They have a vertical passing game. Utah actually, even we talk about them being at home in elevation, they actually struggle at home, especially against Big 12 teams. Tech has been dominant on the road, and Morton's efficiency and big playability, I think, makes the Red Raiders a solid value on the spread, especially at plus 3.5 when you're getting that hook.
I'm all over Utah here, and here's the thing that's... as I'm looking at this game, with the lines movement has been a kind of, we started at 3.5. I would not lay 3.5 with Texas Tech. I'm seeing mostly threes across the board. Even see 2.5, which is weird to see it go through such a key number. But I'm still looking at this Utah team, and they had the struggles at home last year, but that was when Cam Rising was questionable for the entire season.
Yeah.
Prior to that, they've had a lot of success at home at Rice-Eccles, and as you know, as you've been following me, it's all about the coaches. And I love Kyle Whittingham at home as a short favorite. I think Dan Pierre, watch him, quarterback the transfer from New Mexico. He's electric. Again, this is something that, you mentioned it. Neither of these teams have played anybody. We're starting to get some data points. Truthfully, I got off to a slow start in college football. I feel like I do every year. But as we get to see more about these teams and unveil what's going on, we get a little bit better feel for what's going on. But it's a great way to start the game kickoff. Like I said, early kick, maybe even look for an early first half under if these teams do come out a little slow. But I'm against you guys. We're going a little side bet here. I got Utah minus the 3. Give me 3.
Minus 3, then we'll take 3.5. We can both win. You could push, we could win.
All right.
There we
Fair
go.
enough. We'll put that one on the board. We're disagreeing.
Texas Tech outright. Come on.
Guns up.
It's a college game. Is that where college game is this week?
No.
Oh, come on, college game.
No, they whiffed twice. They whiffed on that one. They should be in Bloomington. We'll get to that one in a little bit. Now they're going down to South Beach. Where do you think these guys went?
Oh, for sure. Okay.
All right. Oklahoma, Auburn. Another one here in the SEC. Oklahoma showed up last week. That was one that I thought was pegged as a sleepy spot, one of my best bets, and they took care of business, which, again, going and blowing out Temple on the surface doesn't say a lot, but the fact that they were so motivated and so focused says a lot to me here. Auburn, on the other hand, we had Jackson Arnold leave Oklahoma. Now he's at Auburn for the revenge game. We saw them first game of the year kind of blow out Baylor, but that Baylor defense, if you watch them, it's terrible. So I really think that this Oklahoma team is legit. I think they're for real. I think the schedule is eventually going to catch up to them on the back half of the season. Still, I said 6.5. It's a pretty big number, and I think it's a big number for a reason. Less than a touchdown. I'm taking the Sooners in that one.
I got Auburn at a 7 earlier in the day, but I also like plus 6.5. You know, Oklahoma's favorite home, but Auburn's offense has been explosive. Jackson Arnold, he hasn't thrown an interception in 9 games, I think, or in 8 games. And Auburn, strong defensive pressure, top 10 run defense, double-digit sacks. They've scored 5 of their last 7 games as a road underdog. I like Auburn here, plus 6.5. If you can get it at 7, I like it even more. I just don't want to lay over a touchdown with Oklahoma.
I would not lay over a touchdown, certainly. 7. These numbers matter, guys. When you hear us talk, and that's one thing I want to really drive across is you think, what's a half point? What's the difference? These key numbers matter, whether it's totals, whether it's sides, they matter. So especially around the key numbers, the 3, the 7s, college 51 is such a key number for totals. So the numbers matter. And that's why, Garrett mentioned it earlier. Make sure you follow in the chat. Go to Instagram, follow in the chat, because we're going to get these lines out. It's about beating the numbers, especially in NFL. But that's one thing I just want to say before we get to Garrett's take on his Sooners and his boy, John Batier.
I don't even have to speak, dude. You guys already know where I'm at, dude. I've been saying it all year. I'm not stopping now. This Oklahoma team is an absolute truck. Come on. John Batier is unstoppable with my boy Ben Arbuckle pulling the strings. Let's go. Give me the Sooners. They're going to cover this game. The total's probably going to go over. If you want to be safe and you want a guaranteed good bet, just take the Oklahoma Sooners team total over every single week. I also think there's value on Oklahoma to make the playoff at 2-1. Give me that. I understand they did get Michigan with a freshman quarterback coming in early in the season. That's better for them. That's their most impressive win. Obviously, they get their SEC schedule later on in the season. I could see they're going to have a couple losses, sure, but I think they do sneak into the playoffs 2-1. And then this team could get hot. Their defense is looking better than I anticipated coming into the season, and obviously I'm a big fan of their offense. So Oklahoma to win the SEC at 15-1, I think there's some value there too.
I just worry about their depth. Going through that gauntlet, they're not super deep, and as you go, that's where a lot of things you're going to see in college football. It's like, well, who's backing these guys up? Because as you drop some of these key players, you're going from 5 stars to
and if you're running Mateer 19 times a game, Ben, I'm talking to you, man. Quit running the guy so much. Can't run Mateer 19 times a game, especially because the depth thing you said. Who's behind him? If Mateer's out,
especially when I take his
all
rushing
these bets are down. So yeah, I know. Tim Sunder is going for it, but
Oklahoma's legit. I just it's just going to be such a gauntlet of
the
a
wheels
schedule.
could fall off and it could crash and burn. But right now, I'm going to ride the high as long as it takes me.
So Garrett and I on Oklahoma. Dylan's going opposite us. That's another one we're going head to head on. Let's go. The big one in Bloomington. Game day should be there. We got the Hoosiers and Illinois. Who would have thought, these two teams would be in the top 20 just a couple of years ago?
Wow.
But here we are, two coaches that are really, really good. Dylan, start with you. What's your take on IU laying a bigger number than what I think we all expected?
I'm on the spread here with IU. Illinois, that win over Duke, hit a lot of defensive flaws. I mean, the score was 45-19 Illinois, but Duke should have won that game. They got outplayed. Duke would have won without turnovers. I think you're going to see a lot of drives from Illinois that don't go anywhere. Indiana has a really disciplined defense. And on the other side of the ball for Indiana, Fernando Mendoza, efficient, turnover-free, completing 72.5% of his passes, 9.3 yards per attempt, 9 TDs. Like I said, Illinois is going to struggle here on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think they're going to get much going. I like Indiana minus 5.5 here.
I've continued to call Illinois frauds, and every year they seem to kind of prove me wrong. And it's Bielema's way. Like they're gonna run the football, not make mistakes. We saw it happen with Duke. And what's the old saying that smart wins more than stupid loses? Or I think I'm screwing that up, but you guys get what I'm saying. I was hoping this was gonna be closer to a 3 because I was gonna be all over the Hoosiers. It's kind of settled in that dead zone around 5, but anything less than 6, I think this line is high for a reason. I think the average person is going to see 2 undefeated teams, the higher ranked team getting almost 5.5, 6 points. There's a reason why Indiana is the much better team here, because Illinois, again, they're getting a lot of credit for what they did last year. And what they did last year was win 5 one-possession games. Yep. And that's where you see the regression come. So I think that team, they really are like a 7-win, 8-win team. So give me the Hoosiers. Minus 5.5. We can make it a clean sweep?
I'm with you because you talked about smoke and mirrors. I feel like the Illinois team they've kind of lived off that on turnovers this year too. So I think Indiana, if they could get out, get early, get a lead, I don't see any comeback. So
prime time in Bloomington, it's gonna be hopping. They're gonna be at Nick's. They're gonna be at Kilroy's. The boys are gonna be ready to go. Let's go Hoosiers. All right. Bonus pick before we get to our best bets. Dylan, give me one more game here that's not on the board.
I'm going to take Rice money line. Rice rushing attack, one of the best in the country. Charlotte has struggled to move the ball, even against FBS opponents. Rice has a solid defense, historically done well against Charlotte. The road team has won 4 of the last 5 meetings. Rice, this offense is balanced, strong time of possession. I think they're a logical pick here to win outright. It's a little juiced, minus 125, but I like Rice money line here.
Rice on the money line. I'm sure everybody at home was keyed up on Rice. Dylan knows what's going on with the Owls program. Gary, you got one? You want me to go?
I'll get to a little higher profile game here. I like Michigan on the money line. I got it at minus 120 earlier in the week. I think it's probably still somewhere around there. Not too sure. I just think they took the training wheels off of Underwood last week. I just think they kind of opened it up for him. As the season goes on, he's going to be more comfortable. They're going to run him a lot more. They probably saw what my boy John Mateer did to them with the quarterback run game, and then they said, hey, maybe we should do that too. It looks like they finally employed that last week. I think we see that more going forward, so I like Michigan to get the win here over Nebraska.
I like it. Actually, I don't like it. I like Nebraska there. But I'm waiting for a 3. Again, I'm going to wait for a 3 here because I do think this is going to be the prove-it game for Nebraska right now. So I'm still just not a big believer in Michigan and that offense. Yes, they looked good last week, but again, against
Michigan.
I think something clicked, right, with their offensive play calling.
Yeah. Well, we saw, Biff went, like you said, unleash them. But again, you're going to on the road, just like we saw against Oklahoma where they didn't have much success. So I'm leaning the other way in that one, more towards Nebraska. A game that I like that's on my radar is going to be Duke minus the 3. I think, again, this is another one that on paper you see a 1-2 team favored against 3-0 North Carolina State. North Carolina State is not a very good football team. They've gotten very lucky in their wins. I mean, they beat Virginia in a back-and-forth game. They came back to win last week against Wake Forest, who was awful in winning at half. So records, this is where you can kind of really capitalize if you're paying attention. Now that we have some data points, not our records are created equal. Notre Dame 0-2. They're still a top 10 team. They've just had some really bad losses against 2 really, really good teams. 3-0 does not make you better than 1-2. Give me Duke minus 3. All right. Let's go around the horn with our best bets here. So, guys, before we get to our best bets, this is sponsored by our friends over at Stir Pan Creamery. Make sure you're two locations, downtown and in Breckenridge. You like winters, you like it, make it a little sweeter, have a little ice cream from our boys at Stir Pan Creamery. All right, Garrett, best bet in college football this weekend.
My favorite bet right now is Boise State minus 9.5 over Air Force. I think Boise, they're going to come into the Springs on Saturday, and they're going to take care of business. Their week 1 loss against South Florida doesn't look as bad now. Granted, South Florida didn't look great last week, but that score is a little misleading with those 2 touchdowns late in the fourth quarter to kind of blow that score up. But anyway, Boise, they're coming off a bye week, which I think I put extra weight into that bye week, especially if you're about to play a service academy and give you that extra week to prepare for a triple option team, right? So I think they win by 2 touchdowns here. So I think 9.5 is a little bit light. If you get under that key number at 10, I really like Boise State to win by at least double digits here.
On the Broncos, Garrett.
My best play is Coastal Carolina, team total under 70.5. This team just got shut out by East Carolina last week. I think South Alabama is better than East Carolina. They played Auburn and Tulane and were even able to remain competitive in the first half of those games. Coastal Carolina quarterback MJ Morris has 0 passing touchdowns on 58 attempts. They really can't run the ball. This is probably the worst offense in college football. Under 17.5, I really don't see them getting there. I also like South Alabama minus 14. This Coastal Carolina is also just as bad on defense, giving up over 28 points per game. I don't see them getting double-digit points here against this defense. I like the under and South Alabama minus 14.
Give me the Jaguars, too. They got home for me last week against Auburn in that look-ahead spot. My best bet, and I know you're going to see the graphic come up with the big bagel in front here, but cut me some slack here. We got to pick one game. If you're following us in the chat, I'm going to keep harping on this because I gotta help myself here. 7-2 last week in the chat with college football. My best bet is going to be the Kansas Jayhawks minus 13.5. We've already seen a lot of money come in here. Started at 11.5, now up to 13.5. But I love this spot for Kansas coming off the loss against their rival Missouri. Where they were back and forth, could have won the game.
Shoulda.
That's gotta be just salt in the wounds. And then coming off a bye, they're got to come out with their hair on fire. Versus West Virginia, who just beat their rival in the backyard brawl. They're riding high. I feel the letdown spot for them. Kansas, a motivated team. Jalen Daniels is fantastic. Give me them anything less than 14. That is my best bet. Before we get out of here, Heisman predictions. Where are we at right now? What bets we got on for Heisman?
Mateer. I don't recommend it at current numbers. It's the top two guys, Beck and Mateer. If I had to look down the board, man, it's kind of a November award, right? It's kind of this we've seen in the last couple of years. What have you done
Unless
for me
it's
lately?
already settled. It can kind of be.
If Oklahoma does some damage in the SEC part of their schedule, I think it's his award to lose. We'll see what Carson Beck does, but I would maybe look at Jeremiah Smith. I wouldn't count him out either.
Not a bad call either.
I'm going to go Dante Moore, from the quarterback from Oregon. We saw Oregon last year. We saw Dylan Gabriel there, even with some of the more lackluster stats than some of the other players, but he was still a Heisman finalist. This offense is going to be good. This team is going to be good. They're national championship contenders. Dan Lanning has this offense rolling every year. I think any Oregon quarterback is going to be in it, so I think there's value on him.
And that's going to be, they've got the big one coming up against Penn State here in 2 weeks. So if you're on that, you got to make sure, because the value is going to be gone on the outcomes of these games. So I just bet Carson Beck. I know he's the other co-favorite at plus 750. I know this is kind of, he starts at 25 to 1 at the start of the year, but I think this line only has one way to go, and that's down. When you look at after they beat, I'm taking Miami to beat Florida this game. I think the Miami team is for real. And then the other really tough game on their schedule is another rivalry game against Florida State. If they win both of those, you're going to see him separate as the clear favorite, probably 3-4 to 1. And you look at the rest of their schedule, they could very easily be sitting there at 12-0, even at 11-1 team at the end of the year. Remember, Beck was the Heisman favorite going into last year with Georgia, had some issues, whatever reason, locker room dropsies with some of the Georgia receivers. But he looks like the player that could be the number one pick in the NFL draft. So I'm going to take Carson Beck. Plus 750. There it is, college edition. As always, make sure you check out all of our socials, Tailgate Sports, Bets in Denver, Sham_Locks. Check the Denver Sports Betting channel, and then we'll see you all Sunday. Make sure you get you out to Tom's, watch some games, Boo Tech. Let's go, Utah. We'll see everybody next week.